how are you doing? Can you hear me? Hey, howdy. Oh, cool. Hold on. I think I'm coming through your mic. Can you put some headphones on or something? I don't have any headphones. Okay, well, you have been saying that pineapple doesn't go on pizza. What's that about? I just think that pineapple doesn't go on pizza. Don't put it there. Oh, okay, I've heard enough. That is just woke authoritarian nonsense. Let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. You know what? I've got some pineapple pizza here. I don't even like pineapple on pizza, but I'm going to eat it right now just to trigger you.
Almost every president ever has been a straight, white, conservative Christian man.
But not of power.
What's more powerful than the president of the United States?
Donald Trump. If you notice,
he is the president.
How can you not see the difference between these two things? I can't believe this is real life right now.
Because the law
No, that's not true. The law doesn't agree with you. You're wrong. You're 100% wrong.
The Roman Catholic Church forced people in 500 BC to believe that the Earth was a globe.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Spaghetti monster, not God.
Well, today there are freshwater bass and saltwater bass. There are
500
freshwater crocodiles and saltwater crocodiles.
Disgusting, skinny Sid from Ice Age.
Oh, he's crying in the corner. Oh, okay. I mean, that's content.
Because of the ocean.
You can't be serious.
Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walk, and a few months back, a lot of people were wanting a scientist called Dr. Peter Hotez to debate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the subject of vaccines. The idea being that if Peter Hotez is right, and vaccines are indeed safe, then he should be able to defend that in a debate. However, it didn't seem like he was willing to have that debate, so a lot of people took that as a concession that he was wrong and couldn't defend his ideas. And for a scientist to shy away from a debate, well, debates are used to figure out what is true, right? So a scientist not wanting to debate means that they're being unscientific when you really think about it. However, there is a question that I want to ask, and I want you to think about it for more than 5 seconds, and once you've figured out your answer, leave it in the comments. What is the point of a debate? Think about it. Now, some people might have the answer of, well, it's for people to try and bring ideas to the table and to work out which ideas fit most with reality. And sure, that is what a debate seems like on the surface. People have different ideas, so they come together and debate them to work out which idea is correct. However, that's not really what happens. Because if people did, people would go into a debate being like, you know, I'm just here to try and find the answers and to listen to an opposing point of view. However, most people just go into a debate to try and argue a particular point of view. Most of the time, they're not open to changing their mind or anything, even if they will literally title the debate "Change My Mind." So, what are they doing? Sometimes it will be to change their opponent's mind, but how does that work if neither you nor your opponent are willing to change their mind? At that point, it's kind of pointless to debate a lot of people unless you can tell that someone is willing to change their mind. And also, there are other ways of trying to get someone to change their mind that don't require a debate, like, I don't know, maybe making response videos. And if it were just about changing the mind of the person that you're talking to, then there wouldn't really be a need to broadcast it. You could just argue with them in private. So when people go into debates, usually they're not trying to convince their opposition, unless they have faith that their opposition is acting in good faith, or they are naive. Most of the time it is about the audience and trying to convince the audience of a particular point of view. Because surely, if you are correct, then even though the person you are debating may not be able to change their mind, people in the audience should be able to change their mind, right? This actually plays out quite a bit. A lot of the time you can just check the comments of a debate and someone will go, I support person A, but person B, they made some really good points that I don't think person A quite addressed. Though you do need to keep in mind that there will be people in the audience that are unwilling to change their mind. But we'll get back to those people later. For now, let's talk about changing the audience's mind. So when it comes to people who watch debates and are willing to change their mind, there is probably something that they believe. And that is that debates are a good way to determine what is true and what is false. Because if you don't believe that, then why would you change your mind from watching a debate? Anyway, these people, after watching a debate, will be under the impression that they are now better informed about the world, and sometimes they will be. Some debates can be quite informative, but not always. Because when it comes to debates, it doesn't really matter who is right and who is wrong. It's who is more convincing. You could be having a debate and you could be completely right on an issue. Let's say that you're saying that the Earth is round and you're debating a flat earther. If you're not convincing and the flat earther is, does it really matter that you're right? You see, the mistake that a lot of people make is they think that all that's required to convince someone is just the facts of the matter, and then someone will be convinced. But being able to discern what is a fact versus what is a falsehood is an incredibly difficult task to carry out. Not to mention that the omission of certain facts can lead people to not have the full picture. Like, let's give an example of Andrew Wakefield. If you were to tell someone that there was a doctor called Andrew Wakefield who published a study which showed a connection between vaccines and autism, if they didn't have any more information, then they might believe you. Because none of the information in that statement was false. There was, emphasis on was, a doctor called Andrew Wakefield who did publish a study which appeared to show a connection between vaccines and autism. If you include the information that was omitted, then you get a very, very different picture of what actually happened. Because if you add information like there were only 12 participants in the study and they were all treated like they had autism, even though they hadn't all been diagnosed with autism, then that is a very different narrative that you're crafting there. It is kind of difficult to convince someone that there is a link between vaccines and autism and it was shown by Andrew Wakefield if there's a whole lot of problems with the study that does that. So if you were debating someone on the subject and they did not know about the Andrew Wakefield study, then they either have to try and read a study during a debate, which, look, I have only seen that happen like once or twice in online debates. Generally, it's very boring to just watch someone read a study so they can respond to someone's point. Or they could dismiss the study, which ends up looking really bad because it's like, oh, here's some evidence and you're just going to dismiss it? Or they can say, hey, I haven't actually looked at that study, so we'll need to have another debate so that I have time to actually be able to read the study that you're citing here. That also doesn't work very well because it's just, oh, you don't know something about the subject? Well, why would I trust you then? However, someone could always pretend like they do know what's being talked about, but then you run into the issue of something like this happening.
Discussion.
Well, are you aware?
Bullshit. I am familiar with the Flynn effect.
Wait, are you familiar with Alden's number?
I believe so. I'm not exactly sure on Alden's number.
I do know about. I literally just made that up. You're completely full of shit. There's no such thing as Alden's number.
Oh, Alden's number. Okay, so you made it up. All right, so I guess my argument's 100% invalid. You win, Vash. Anyways, the Flynn effect.
Well, Marcus and Morley was about eighth and not about whether the Earth was moving. But when it comes to
that, you guys say that, but you're wrong. You're just repeating what you heard from other people. It's a script.
Well, do you know anything about
yes,
Maxwell's equations? Do you know what Do you know what Maxwell's equations were supposed to imply?
Yes.
What did they imply?
Yeah, it used a luminiferous ether as the background, and then the whole first like 2/3 of relativity is him transforming it via relativity. That's a non sequitur because that's a non sequitur.
Okay, question: why did Why did Maxwell's equations need an ether?
It's just what just the framework that he chose.
No, yes. Okay, you do not know. If you do not know this question, you have no idea what you're talking about here.
Look how excited he is.
Can you write down Snell's law?
It doesn't look good. Yeah, I don't know Snell's law. I'm not going to write out the...
You don't know Snell's law, but you were talking about refraction as if you're some fucking expert on it.
So if someone pretends like they know something that they actually don't in a debate, and their opponent is aware of this, then that can end pretty badly. However, for someone to get effectively called out on that, then their opponent needs to have enough knowledge to realize, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. The same goes for if someone's just making stuff up. You can go into a debate and just make up a study and say, oh yeah, the study proves my point. And not many people realize that you've just made that up. Now some people will say, well, just ask for a source then. But it does get quite tedious if you're constantly asking people for sources. And if they do happen to have a source, even though it might be a bad source, you run into the issues from earlier. Why didn't you know about this? Turns out that debating is a difficult thing if you want to do it effectively. Now, there is a solution to the whole, oh, you didn't know about that? And that is for both parties to share their sources before the debate. Now, this would make debates less entertaining. We'll get back to that. But it would mean that both parties would have the exact same knowledge, or should have the exact same knowledge, before the debate. The problem though is that in internet debates, I just don't see that happen at all. If the purpose of a debate were to work out which side is correct, then surely that would be something that you'd want to do. I believe when it comes to the court system, both sides have to let the other side know what information they have, because they're trying to work out the truth of the matter. You can't just have your lawyer spring information onto the other side like it's a trap card. That doesn't really seem like it would be fair. But in an internet debate, that is fine. And boy howdy can it be fun to watch. Because you see, there are a lot of people that watch debates not because they're interested in the information that is given, but because it's entertainment. It is far more entertaining to go, did you know about this? No? Well, gotcha, than it is to have an informative conversation. Part of the reasons why some people do debates isn't to sway anyone's opinion, but to show to their audience that their opponent is an idiot. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. It is quite entertaining to see. The problem is that people act as though that is the same as working out what is true and what isn't true. If someone is shown to be an idiot, that doesn't mean that they're wrong, it just means that they don't know enough about the subject and probably shouldn't be debating about it. Well, that, or maybe they're not a good debater. You see, debating does actually take a level of skill. You actually need to be good at debating. It's very difficult, trust me, I've done it before. Not only do you need to be thinking about, okay, what are the facts of the matter, but you also need to be thinking about, how do I present those facts in a way that is compelling? You also need to be aware of what your opponent is doing, because your opponent could be using different tricks to try and make you look like the idiot in this situation, even though you're completely correct. Sometimes you can have someone that doesn't let you get a word in edgewise, and so you can't actually make the point that you are trying to make because they won't let you finish the point. I've had that happen to me before. There's also the tactic I've come across of just calling everything a fallacy. Makes me wonder if they're just thinking about fallacies instead. There's also other tactics that people try to use, but here's the point. When you're thinking about that, you are so far from the actual facts of the matter that it's not about who is right. It's about who is more convincing. That is why people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh prefer to debate college students, because they're not going to call them out on all this stuff.
Let me ask you this. Okay, I won't ask you how old. I will ask you how old you are, okay? Because you're young enough that it's probably not insulting to ask you. So.
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
No. Why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60?
You see, there are ways that she could have responded to Ben Shapiro there, but she would have to be better at debating. Now, to be fair, there are times when it does backfire, and you realise that they've got different tactics.
We've never seen anybody walk on water, but there are so many stories of people who have been changed by, by God. They've seen the light of God, and so you sort of turn a blind eye to science, right? We're gonna need science because it's for our benefit.
We're gonna let someone else ask a few questions.
Sounds like they're kind of scared of the answer.
You see, sometimes when you're debating someone, it'll be their rules, and they can just make up whatever rules they want. If they don't like the question that you've asked, well, we don't have time for that, so we're gonna need to wrap up right now. Now, to be fair, in that last bit, I don't really see how anyone could view Matt Walsh as the person who's coming out on top in that exchange. But that is beside the point. There are a lot of people out there that will only try to debate people that they think that they can win against.
Ethan, thanks, man, for making the time.
You're very welcome, and I just want to say, I know you called me, you said that I would be a layup, which is fine, and I think you're right, because I don't think I'm a very good debater. I think you know that.
As soon as they come across anyone that might be a challenge, well, then they run away.
Oh, geez, okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid... Oh, there he is! Oh no, Sam Cedar! What a fucking nightmare! I had no idea this was going to happen.
So that is something to keep in mind if you're either watching a debate or maybe someone that you watch is demanding that someone else debate them. Like, let's say, for example, that I demand that certain flat earthers must debate me, otherwise they're wrong. But then let's say I decline debate offers from other flat earthers. A fair assumption there might be that I just don't want to debate anyone that might show that I'm an idiot. Of course, I may have reasons for not wanting to debate a particular flat earther or even a particular person. In fact, there is someone that I will refuse any debate offer from. I'm not going to name any names because I do not want to give them the attention. I haven't made any videos on them. I will not be making any videos on them. But they did email me and I'm not going to respond. So there can be other reasons why someone might refuse to debate someone, aside from being scared. Now some people might say, well, Plan a Walk, haven't you requested that certain people debate you? And yes, I have. My reasons for doing so vary from person to person. When it comes to Bill Gates, for example, well, the alternative to a debate would be a long, drawn out, we keep on responding, and then it's not even guaranteed that he's actually going to respond to my actual points. However, with other people, it could be that I just want them to acknowledge a certain thing, or I want to go through something with them step by step. And also, there are a lot of people that just don't respond to me, even though my criticisms may be fairly salient. As an aside, I wonder if it's because I don't come off as aggressive or deranged or something like that, so people are like, oh yeah, that's just a random person criticizing me. Anyway, my point is that if I try to debate someone, I do have valid reasons that aren't just trying to get down to the truth of the matter, because I know that that's not what debates are for. And that is why when it comes to Peter Hotez, I don't think that he owes anyone a debate, and it may be counterproductive for him to debate someone, even if he is right. And let's be clear, as he is an expert, he is probably correct in what he is talking about, at least when it pertains to his own field. That is also why I don't blame Neil deGrasse Tyson for not wanting to debate any flat earthers. He's probably received heaps of debate requests from flat earthers. Him not wanting to debate flat earthers doesn't mean that he's now against the core premises of science. He just doesn't have time for idiots. He's a scientist. But anyway, to answer the premise of the video, what is the point of a debate? Well, it depends from debate to debate, but usually, if it's on the internet, it is probably for entertainment. It may be pitched as, oh, we're just trying to get to the truth of the matter, but honestly, if you're watching a bunch of people on Discord or Zoom that are just screaming at each other, then I don't think you're getting to the truth of the matter with that. But anyway, that is it for this video. I initially wanted to make this video like 2 months ago, but at the time I had a cold, and there was also a problem where I was very limited in the amount of content that I could be successful with. I mean, the same is true today, but it doesn't really seem to matter as much. So make sure you leave a like and subscribe and share, because sharing probably helps me out a lot more than I realize. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Between you and me, debate me.